take a deeper look into that comment and also the state of U.S.-China trade relations. A China-based author and China chairman of APCO Worldwide, James McGregor, joins us now live from Beijing. James, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. You heard the State of the Union, and in it, Donald Trump, he vowed to protect American workers as well as American intellectual property rights. He called out China as a rival. Did you like what you heard, or were you hoping to hear something stronger from the U.S. president?
Actually, I think the American business community here was expecting to hear more, more details about China in the speech, but it was, I think, quite wide-ranging. They had some stuff on the White House website about it. I think we're kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, and we have been for quite a while, on what's really going to happen on 301, which is this technology investigation, because that seems to be the biggest threat to American business right now, and I think it's where most of the focus is. But calling China a rival, actually China is a rival in many ways, and I think he's just calling and saying it like it is, actually.
Yeah, and the fact that Donald Trump did not declare a trade war with China in this speech, there were some expectations that he was going to do that. Your thoughts on that?
Well, there's, apparently people are talking to him and saying, if you get too bad a trade action going with China, you're going to knock out that stock market that you're so proud of. And you never know what the president's going to do on any given day. But, I mean, even if Hillary had gotten elected, the business community here was ready for some stronger action with China, even though it will hurt their business in the short term. Companies here are schizophrenic because often they have a good piece of the Chinese market, and this is more important to them than the United States for some of the tech companies. On the other hand, they know China has plans to replace them with Chinese companies and then beat them globally using every tool China's got. So it's a very confusing situation, and we do need a pushback, but it's got to be a smart pushback. It can't be ham-handed.
But it's interesting how you talk about the mood among members of the American business community and the foreign business community there in China, that as we see this growing tension between the Trump White House and China, there is indeed tension in the overseas business community in China right now.
Well, the things have shifted. For many years there's been problems with the companies here, but then the companies that had good business in China would go to Washington and say, please don't do anything. It's really flipped now. It's pretty strong in the business community that something has to be done. And this is the business community that used to be China's best friend on Capitol Hill, that went and lobbied for MFN and WTO and reasonable policies on China. China's overreached, and they've gotten too aggressive. People feel their businesses are threatened. Perhaps the future of their company could be threatened. And so they want something done. And they're waiting for this administration to come up with something smart. So far, we've just, seen a lot of back and forth and nothing consistent. And there was an expectation there would be more in the State of the Union, but we'll see what happens the next days and weeks.
Got it. The American business community there wanted a tougher response from Trump, didn't quite get it with that address. Also just want to get your thoughts on what perhaps the British business community in China might be thinking, only because the British Prime Minister Theresa May is there in China. She is there to drum up business. She is there on a 3-day trade tour, but also she has Brexit hanging over her. So what are your thoughts on this? How should Prime Minister May navigate talks while considering her nation's need to strike a deal?
Yeah, and she's come here with the largest business group that has ever come in with a British Prime Minister. She's got 50 executives, including 20 of their top CEOs. The problem is Britain's looking very weak right now because they did Brexit, because May called the special election and didn't do very well. They're very vulnerable to China right now, and so she has to show progress. She's got to show deals to bring home and show that she's, getting something done. And that gives China a huge advantage in what kind of deals they could do. China is, one of the things they're pushing on her is they want her to endorse the Belt and Road Initiative. They want her to endorse it publicly. She hasn't done that yet, as far as I know. And that because that would lead to more and more investment and also just give it more credibility. So we'll see what happens the next couple of days. She's not in a good position to be bringing this delegation to China. So she's weaving through a very delicate minefield, let's say.